Hello, everybody, and welcome once more to another episode of The Frontiers. The Frontiers is a podcast about Web3, crypto, and Africa. Every twice in a month, we at Yuki here we come together to share and discuss some of the most pressing needs and pressing trends and conversations, and talk about things that actually matter to Web3 and crypto in Africa. And with me, we have the full house. Dennis is here. Jeffrey is here. Jeffrey, can you say hi?
Hi everybody. Thank you again for having me on the podcast. We definitely have a lot of things to talk
Yeah,
about this week, so stay tuned.
yeah, sure, man. Um, Isaac is here. Isaac, can you say hello to the audience, please?
Hello guys, I'm excited to be here this evening again. Looking forward to the session.
Jordan, can you say hello to the audience, please?
Hi, Jordan here. Nice to catch up again.
Yeah, I today we're talking about a very important topic, right? We're talking about crypto regulation and the need for self-regulation in Africa when it comes to cryptocurrency, because I think this is a very important topic, because when you look at the whole crypto industry in Africa, we talk less of regulation and less of compliance. And when you hear about regulation and compliance, people builders think it's something that comes from the regulators themselves, like the SEC of the world and the CBN, the central bankers, and the rest of that. But I think there's something also called self-regulation that actually starts with the individuals actually building Web3 products. Things like the anonymizing platform data, entity data, and granting analysts and researchers access, and not just researchers, users access to, if you're a centralized platform, access to things like, I don't know, can anybody remember after the FTS crash, there was something that was everybody was rushing to go and do. I can't remember the
Proof of
exact name.
funds. Everybody has to do their proof of funds.
Yeah, proof of funds, things like proof of funds. I think what actually sparked the conversation for our listeners was actually the Patricia story that happened recently, and up to $2 million of users' money was lost. And then there was another one in South Africa as well. Same amount, around 25% of the whole portfolio holdings was stuck somewhere. So we see that we don't have enough transparency with builders, like we ourselves as builders, not like the whole crypto space, like maybe the regulators, I mean, from the government angle and the rest of that, from the policy side. But internally and technologically wise, I think don't believe we are actually applying best principles to protect users' fund and also be transparent while doing that. And I believe every single platform is actually very guilty of this, especially when you're running a centralized entity here in Africa. So I think I will leave the floor to Jeffrey to actually share his maybe his thoughts and story around the need for crypto intelligence, because as I was talking before we started recording, there is need for users to be able to hop onto something like um, Cadency, or what's the name of this platform again that people used to do on-chain research? I don't know. Isaac, maybe you
Do
still remember the
do
name.
do
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
Dune and the rest of them, to be able to see, okay, oh, how much is Patricia holding in users' money? And because they are holding the money on chain in crypto, which is what they are supposed to be doing, one to one, just because they are like a bank. So the users need to actually keep them accountable. So I don't know, Jeffrey, what do you think, or what have you seen, or the challenges, or your personal experience, or um um any important clues you might leave for the audience about, yeah, the need for crypto intelligence in the quest for self-regulation in Africa?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So I feel like for sure our biggest issue we have in Web3 and blockchain Africa is definitely accountability and transparency. Like you said, we don't have anybody in charge of checking what is what. We don't have anybody in charge of making sure that the information or the assets which these companies claim to hold is actually there. We don't really have people doing that, and it's not really anybody's fault. I feel like it's just something that we need to grow with as the technology keeps improving and as we as Africans keep um building on this technology. So definitely accountability, and one of the easiest ways to improve accountability is by educating the masses, educating the users of this technology. So like for example, if Patricia users could have, if they had enough educated users on this particular technology who know deep down at the backbone of this, they would have definitely reached out and asked questions of how are our assets being saved? How do we know we are actually how do we know what you claim is there is still there? Those sort of questions. So I feel like um when they ask the questions to the organizations that giving these services to them, definitely they can hold them accountable. So I feel like accountability definitely should start from the users. They are one of the people that can kind of improve transparency and accountability. So yeah, because they definitely want to keep their users happy. So once the users start holding them accountable, I feel like we definitely see a big spike in accountability from firms and from companies implementing this technology.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that's a very good one. Maybe you can talk more about the intelligence, like the data being available, because if a user reaches out and then they do education and the rest of that, like where does the user get to see, like, are you saying that they do something like a dashboard where people can be able to see what they say they are holding, like technically, like on a technical insight, like as a blockchain developer, you build products, like how do you think that people can actually improve that from the platform perspective? Because it's nice to educate people, but something has to give way, like something has to be built around it. Like what do you actually think about that?
Okay, yeah. For companies that offer crypto services, they can definitely implement allowing users to see their actual wallet addresses and wallet balances through, for example, Etherscan for wallets that are on Ethereum or whatever chain they are on. So companies should be able to implement that sort of technology to kind of like improve transparency to their users. I don't think a lot of companies do that. They usually just show you on your dashboard or on your application, on like your application. They don't really show you exactly where on the blockchain it is because, like I said, not a lot of users are holding them accountable. But yeah, definitely linking and giving users the options to view their assets directly on the blockchain or directly through the blockchain explorer would definitely improve self-regulation, definitely improve transparency.
Yeah, I think you guys have heard it. I think we need more accountability, not just accountability of you showing us your dashboard or your view or your app dashboard. We need to see it on chain. Simple. Like take the users on chain because that is the only way we are going to get a billion users. That is the only way we are going to back because I think over the last few months, sorry, trust has been broken. People have lost hope entirely in this technology, especially when it comes with Africa, because people can't keep losing money and we all pretend like as if nothing happens. There was this exchange in Nigeria. I can't remember the name, but I think is I can't remember the name. The users have to go to their office in Lagos to go and protest. They just put out a tweet during the FTX issue. They just put out a tweet complaining about something, and that was the end of the conversation. Users in Africa lost millions. Money was lost, and nobody said anything about it. So I don't know. Maybe there is. I think I'll keep saying it. There's a very big need for self custody, and there's a very huge need for self regulation because as like the media companies in Africa covering crypto and tech are actually doing a lot in investigative journalism to hold platforms accountable because we can't just wake up to the news of $2 million disappearing and nobody says anything about it. Just like that. And when you look, like there's this thing I call the bundling effect. There is so much bundled up risk of in especially we'll get to that part later, sure. But risk is so much bundled up. We are almost every platform is depending on each other to operate. So I don't think that is actually a very good way to go. Maybe I just bring in Jordan to maybe share this light on this risk bundling because we can't keep bundling risk. Somebody is bundled risk. You are a platform, you are building on another platform, and the platform is building on you. And like there is so much it- custody actually is not streamlined. Custody is not streamlined at all in any way in Africa. So Jordan, I don't know, like what do you feel about this? Like on the custody side of things, Jeffrey have talked about the transparency part, the need to bring users on chain, like bring the data on chain, show users their balances on chain, not from the dashboard view. Like what actually do you um what actually do you think that can be done by builders and regulators generally to actually improve this custody issue in Africa?
Okay. I think for me, it's really disheartening to like hear that when we are building the image of blockchain, every now and then we are trying to build a really good image for blockchain every now and then, and it's really disheartening to hear that people keep on losing money. But one of the things that we need to do as builders is to be able to always keep on our minds that when you're building, we are building for we are building, and we are holding people's money. That money is not our money. Even if it goes through our platform, that money is not our money. And as Jeffrey has said, we really need to bring people on chain. We need to do more on chain transaction. We need to be able to show people that this is your. We need more self custody platforms whereby you have your own keys, and you can be able to manage your own cash. Yeah, and I think it's kind of becoming even tougher every now and then to convince. I would say convincing my mom to get into crypto if she hears that people are just losing money. Uh, it's becoming really tough to be able to do that. Maybe one of the things that I would say is we need to create a standard, an industry standard, not just from the perspective of building infrastructure or building wallets or building anything. We need to have a standard. We need to be able to scrutinize people who are building. We need to have it shouldn't getting into blockchain and building as an ecosystem, like maybe for you, for people, for people who are building in the ecosystem. It shouldn't be easy for somebody to just come and pitch and get and get get a funding for his platform, and then later on the platform does not even take off, does not even go into the users. We need to create a standard. It shouldn't be a walk in the park when it comes to building such platform. That's what I think, and that's where now self regulation comes in. That's where self regulation comes in, and we do need to have such. We do need to have organizations that really do that before even the government comes in, because I think one of the major reason why the government is not even keen on creating regulations and maybe banning crypto in Africa is because we ourselves we are not regulating ourselves. We are not organized in a way that people can take us seriously, and that is one of the thing that is making the government also think that these guys are just doing something funny or something which seems to us we are not even protecting our users. And I think the best thing that we should do is to ethics, promote ethics. I normally say when I'm doing the bootcamp training that when you're building, remember you're building to safeguard the people's money. People who have lost, people who are losing faith in the banking sector. So if you're building an alternative, then you have to be a person with ethics, and that's what I think. Even the developers themselves, and I would kind of maybe make a reference with web 2. There is a lot of things that happens in web 2, like where a third party payment gateway has been made, or a third party wallet or a payment gateway, let's say quote unquote like something like PayPal, or a version of PayPal, and people lose their money. But people are very keen on finding out how did this happen, and the web 2 guys are very quick to fix their issues. But when it comes to blockchain, we build one side, like, it's like we are always in a trilemma. We build one side where we have already created a trust, a good image for the blockchain, but then let alone that that image is broken by fraud. It's broken by people losing money. It's broken by people, the system corruption and such. Yeah, I think that those are some of the things that we do need to do before we even go and sit
Yeah,
down with the government and the regulators. We need to have an organization. We need to organize ourselves to be able to prevent such. It's have to start from within, having good ethics and remembering that this is
definitely.
investors' money. These are people's money.
Yeah, sure. I believe you 100% because what you mentioned about ethics, 100%, because we have a lot of blockchain founders building stuffs in Africa. I don't know, like it starts from how committed they are to the mission they are looking to do. Like how committed are you to what you're trying to solve, the problem you're trying to solve, if you are solving the issue of people. Because I just believe self custody should be by default. Like, yeah, it should be something that should be done by default. Though it's actually very hard to actually build a self custody platform. That is the reason why we exist at Yuki to break that barrier. But I believe it's something that should be done by default because I think if assets are held on chain and on custody with the users, I think we're going to have we're not going to be able to having this discussion, right? Because you can actually track everything on chain. Users can actually view their balance. So Isaac, I think it comes down to you right now because around self custody, like punch it, like where does because when it comes to Africa and self custody, I think we're far away from a conversation because we don't see that adoption of self custody in Africa. Like, what are your views about self compliance and then self regulation generally, and then w- uh, self custody as well? Like, what do you think we have to do on the continent to get it right?
Yeah, so for me, beyond KYC and AML measures that are probably put in place in most countries, you see there are in also other places there are so many tax and compliance implications that always arise, and it's yeah, I feel like like Jordan mentioned, we should have we as industry peers to vet um, every other person that wants to come into that wants to come into the industry. If you are going to be able to come into this industry, it should be soundly audited, and after it has been audited, everybody realizes that everybody has set a standard that this is what is important for self-regulation as a company who are coming to put their money in your trust and your care. So if you are going to be doing this, we as industry players should be able to come together like an organization, just like the way we have the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, where there are various top. We have some various top guys that are participating and assisting each other to ensure that these guys are doing things the right way that it should be done. So when if we have something like this in Africa, where we are able to set standard, set serious standard for ourselves, have a very high security standard for ourselves, have industry peers who come and audit what you have done and ensure that you have done what is right. And if users should come and make use of your platform, they would not fall prey to any issues at all. It's very, very important that we as industry players put this in place before even the government comes and say, okay, by the time the government comes, government realizes that okay, these guys have put in certain things in place already, and then this is where the government start working hand in hand with us and be like, okay, this is what should be done, this is what should be done, and if this company doesn't have this standard, they should not provide these services to people. So that's what I think should be done.
Yeah, I believe you guys 100% because I think it pains me so much and deeply that we are just doing this podcast and we're talking about this because it's just been a very sad story. Like, if you watch the tone or the mood of everybody on the podcast, I think everybody's quiet. Nobody's actually the way we are, like the most episode, because it's actually a sad thing to talk about. People are losing millions. Patricia is $2 million, and you wake up one morning and you say you are going to launch a stable coins. Who does that? Like, you said there was a cyber issue, and then the cyber issue, and then nobody actually hears anything, or kind of nobody actually has like there's no audit. There's simply no audit. Like
So
the I think well, what do you guys actually makes a lot of sense. Like the anonymization is very important. Like blockchain data needs to be de-anonymized for Africans. Like on an entity based, we should be able to see the inflows and outflows from Patricia, from Quiddas, from Busha, all the rest of them, even here at Comic Blocks. We need to be able to see those things. Like we need to be able to know what is coming in and what is moving out. Because we can't keep doing this trust me bro regulation and think we're going to get anywhere with it. Then things like data, as everybody mentioned, crypto data should be decentralized. Because when you look at it, right, we are running the same ballpark that Web2 companies, the banks are running. This is not even the Web2 companies. Web 1.0 centralized black boxes. Because the money you kept in Patricia up to the day you went bloom. And I heard the story happened actually last year and then it blew up this year. People had no idea that they don't have money. Their money is no longer there. So crypto is becoming a core of the global financial system, which is really African. I just believe like crypto will reach we reach mass adoption, and for it to do that, it has to become a very more efficient and reliable and robust financial system, right? Because like there is this need for crypto intelligence in Africa. There is this serious need because we need to be able to track, as I said earlier, we need to be able to track, we need to be able to analyze and see what is happening. Because you say, oh, Africa is moving $40 billion in crypto. We don't actually have an on-chain based data that we are backing that up. Because as we have mentioned here, crypto intelligence will power self-regulation. Because for any industry to work, self-regulation is needed, irrespective of the external decisions made by the what's it called? What's the name again? The SEC and the CBNs of the world and the central bankers across Africa. Founding institutions like crypto web Web3 institutions in Africa needs to actually safeguard trust. And the standard, as Jeffrey and Jordan mentioned, needs to be built, because we have to promote this. If you are building a platform, you should be able to open source some things. People need to be able to see what, like, there has to be a back. The people need to be able to see what they are doing with their money. That's just what I'm trying to say, right? Because I don't know. I just feel like there is so much squitchy game happening in Web3 here in Africa. So, well, there is much to say about this conversation. Seriously, there is much to say about it. So, for closing remarks, I think we just have to wrap it up, because it's a very sad topic to discuss, but also an interesting one to talk about. So, for closing remarks, I think I'll start with Isaac. Isaac, what's your closing thoughts on this? What do you say to the listeners? Maybe we'll be talking about the builders, like to the users, maybe listening to this. What are you actually saying to them?
Yeah, so to the users, what I'm saying to the users is, if you are going to be making use of any platform, you should ensure that these guys are committed to carrying out serious hard work on due diligence. They need to be, you should be able to, so that we can be able to identify when there are vulnerabilities, can be able to identify when they are, when bad actors are carrying out their acts. When bad actors begin to carry out their acts, you are able to know that, yeah, this person is about to play something funny. This way you'll be able to, by that time, so when you know that this person, this company you are going to make use of, these people you are going to make use of, are setting, are following the rules and checks, that is able to correct any gray area regarding Web3.
Yeah, sure. Jeffrey, please, just quick. We're trying to wrap up on the 20-minute, 30 minutes mark.
My closing thoughts on this is, yes, right now everything looks kind of grim and there's so much negativity in this space. Because yeah, like Jordan said, people are losing money. But on the bright side, Web3 technology and blockchain technology in Africa is relatively still in its early stages. So there's still
Sure.
definitely, so we so with us knowing the problem, there's still definitely enough time to start planning for the solution. And I'm very sure we're going to get there. We're definitely going to get there.
Am-
We might take some time, but we'll definitely get there.
Amen, brother. I believe you 100%. Jordan, what do you have to say to the listeners? Like, closing thoughts.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. What I can say as some of the final, maybe like the last comment on this topic is, yes, crypto needs Africa, and as crypto needs Africa, we also need to be to promote ethics. We need to be able to combat fraud, and we need to safeguard investors. We need to be organized. We need to self-regulate ourselves, and we need to build for the people, not just for our own self, not for our own selfish gain, but we need to build for the people. As we keep on saying that blockchain is for the people, and if we are only building
Sure.
for ourselves, then yeah. And we also need to
Sure,
have
man.
impactful collaboration and drive meaningful agendas and build with purpose. That's what I can say. And I know
Definitely.
there are efforts that people are doing to change and build sustainable projects in the blockchain and change the image of blockchain.
Yeah, man. I see. I vibe with what everybody's saying here. I believe our listeners also vibe. And for me, I would say open up your platforms, self custody. People should be able to know what they're doing with their money. Um, like Jeffrey said, it's a dark times. This is the dark ages for crypto in Africa. People are losing hope. Seriously, we need more crypto intelligence platform focus on African data, on chain data, because we need to be able to open up this industry. We need to really open up crypto in Africa. So yeah, that's my closing thoughts. I think I will say thank you once more, Jeffrey, Jordan, Isaac, for coming up today to share your thoughts and views on this. I think, and also thank you to our listeners who always tune in to listen to the frontiers. I think is an interesting journey for us here at Yuki. And here at Yuki, we're actually building to solve the same problem that we talked about using direct custody. So I think the future for Africa is bright. Let's keep building. It's a journey and we'll definitely get there. From us to you, have a good one and cheers everybody. Thank you.